Hi, I'm Lou Rosalia, and this is Crew Call. What makes a great creative team? This week's show topic on Crew Call. Joining me is a brilliant creative team, individually, because there are many personalities in each one of them, and collectively. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, about building creative teams. Who would you want on your team? How do you develop a team? And the whole approach to making that happen, because creatives are a little bit individual and it's tough to get together and wrangle. So joining us, our usual cast of brilliance, Mr. Joe Scacciaferro, Frank Scacciaferro, and Scott Glozzi. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Thanks, Lou.
Hello, Lou.
Hello. Everybody good?
Yep.
Fantastic.
Wonderful. So here's the deal. I mean, there's not a whole lot of setup to this outside of the opening question. What makes a great creative team? And I know we can go on forever. I'm going to start with Joe. Get us going, buddy.
It's interesting. When I saw the question, I thought this is a series unto itself.
It totally is.
I couldn't even figure out how to just encapsulate one thing. And quite honestly, the funny part about this is it's a thing in the music business that if you could figure out what the perfect chemistry is to put the right collaborative band together, you'd kill.
Yeah.
But it's so arbitrary because it's so based on the things you set up. I mean, right off the bat, creatives are different.
Yes.
They have different personalities every 15 minutes.
Yes.
And it's hard to, it's great when it hits. It's hard when it doesn't.
Yeah.
So I don't have an answer to that. I mean, I go by feel. And I go by instinct, and I'm also quick to pull the trigger one way or another.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of variables. Frank, what say you?
Well, I mean, like you said, it's kind of a mix of a lot of different things, but I know you had written down a couple words there just to kind of, I guess, get us thinking about what is most important, but they're all pretty equally important. I would say a big one though, to lead a creative team, that, I mean, for me, the number one thing would be like experience, whether I'm the one leading that team or the one, kind of following somebody else's lead. You got to have somebody has experience, whether it's time of experience or certain events or things they worked on or anything like that. And when I say experience, I don't necessarily mean you have to be a certain age. You just have to have a certain amount of things under your belt and different types of things to be able to lead a team like that. Because otherwise, then you're kind of just guessing, really.
Yeah. And you know what? To go back to Joe's point, we're going to find it hard to land on any one answer because this is such a vast topic. But if you're putting together a creative team and you want to get the viewpoint and input of somebody who's never even been in the situation to add that element, probably don't want to go with somebody with experience, right? I mean, it's a whole kit and caboodle.
Yeah, but I to defend that part, I think to have experience, no matter if it's in that certain situation or something, at least other things that have happened and you've worked on different things and you can deal with situations differently and maybe more appropriately because you have the experience.
Understood. You're talking more life experience than practical task experience. Scott,
not like in a certain situation.
Yeah, Scott, what's up? What are you thinking?
What's up with you, Lou? I'm good.
Nothing. What are you thinking about the creative team topic, buddy?
No, I love this topic, and I'm glad we're talking about it because I just did it, and I think I was both successful and unsuccessful in when I did it, because we just had a shoot. It was a commercial for a company, a new client, and I had to put together a team. One being a food stylist who I've never worked with a food stylist before. I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know what what kind of responsibilities or what I was going to delegate to them, excuse me. So I guess overall it was having the right personality in that spot to kind of collaborate with me. So I guess, I mean, having the right people, like we're talking about, in the right position in collaboration is 100% the key to success, but that's hard to find. So, I mean, I guess if there's no communication, no leadership, no strategic planning, it's useless. So having a good leader to put these people in the position that is correct for them is really important. But yeah, I guess collaboration and having the ability to communicate your ideas with each other and take feedback is super important in building the right creative team.
So leadership came up twice. Let's go to Frank. Frank, if leadership is at the top of it and experience, what would be the least thing you would look for? Oh, it's a quality that you want on the team, but if I didn't get it, I'd be okay. It could be task and project driven too. So that's kind of a wide open, unfair question.
It is, but I guess it kind of went back to what I said it in my answer earlier. I would think age. I think age is the least important thing because it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like I said before, like the experience, you can get experience, within a few years of certain situations.
Right.
It doesn't matter how old you are, and sometimes that actually can work to your advantage.
Yeah.
Being younger, and maybe you're not in the leadership role, but you bring a completely different perspective just based off of your age. And I mean, I grew up that way where I was always kind of still kind of am the younger person. And I recognize that I see things a little differently than other people that I'm working on. And just, I don't know, you can see a project differently. You can see certain things differently. So the age part doesn't really matter. And what Glaus was saying about that leadership role, I completely forgot what I was going to say. So I'm gonna stop.
I could jump in, Frank. What?
I just totally lost my
I think
train of
vision is like when you have a creative project, one of the most important things is communicating your vision. I think that's why leadership is most important, because if you can't communicate your vision to someone, then they're going to kind of take your idea and everything that they gather from your initial meeting and just kind of put their own ideas into it. And then it's going to kind of get lost. So I think why leadership is so important and why we keep bringing up leadership, even though it's question number one, we got a lot more to talk about, because that vision and setting like tangible goals is the most important thing. And then communication also, getting that message across to your team.
I remembered what I was going to say.
Sorry, too late. You're done. All right, go ahead.
All right, fine. That experienced leadership role, the way that they can recognize other people's skill sets, that's a huge asset of a creative team. Having somebody that, I mean, and Joe's always been very good at that, recognizing what people are good at, what they're not, what their weaknesses are, what their strengths are, and putting them in positions to succeed for the overall team.
Right. To
be able to succeed. I mean, to bring back to sports analogies like we always like to do, because Lou, I know you love that.
Yeah, big sports.
If you put somebody that's in a position that's not really what they're good at, but they don't speak up and say that, then you're kind of setting them up for failure, and then it kind of is going to hurt everybody else behind that. So it's like, having that experienced person, once again, that can not only recognize people's strengths and weaknesses and then put them in where appropriate.
Yeah. Glaus, in urban visuals, do you find, or what do you find to be the most?
I'll be back later, guys. You just let me know when I'm going to go.
Listen,
out.
Wait. Just because I changed my order of Joe,
I haven't been in this conversation since. Hey, Lou, how are you?
Everybody's upset. It's now Frank, Glaus, and Joe.
This is that leadership of collaboration that everybody's talking about.
All right, Glaus.
And it doesn't seem to be working well.
Glaus, hold that question. Think about what's the least. Let me go to Joe. Joe, including your own list.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Jeez.
I'm going to teach you how to lead collaboratively creative people. I'm out. I don't want to talk anymore.
Yeah, right. This is
you can do this without me. I don't care.
This
You
is
got it. You don't need me.
this is
Maybe
so
having a
it.
second command is most important now because we're gonna need somebody else to step up here and take, good leadership role since Joe's leaving.
Oh, look at us, live lessons in learning.
Yeah,
Welcome.
go ahead. Take the
Welcome.
leadership role, Gloss. Go ahead.
All right, I'm the CEO now. This is my show.
Oh, you guys are crazy. Joe, please. I'm begging
No, I'm
you.
only kidding. You could go to Gloss. I just wanted you to understand how much it sucks being in that leadership position.
Yeah. And a lot of times, some of the most creative people are the most uncooperative. That unfortunately goes together. Glass, I was going to ask you, in terms of the strong factors and the top ones, what do you think is the hardest thing to find, or the most challenging attribute you would look, to try to find on a creative team?
I think somebody that you can just work well together. It's hard to put a new team together and have it just like mesh, perfectly. Usually you only get that with people you've worked with for years. Like, when Frank and I do a project together, him and I can almost from start to finish work in a way where we know what we're good at, what we're going to do. When you bring someone new into that team, you can delegate responsibilities and things to them, but they might not be able to really understand what you're saying. Like, I'm sure I communicate things. I mean, I know I communicate things differently than Joe or you or Frank might communicate things, and having that synergy is really important. So I think that's kind of really hard to find. I mean, putting the right people in the right place is important, but having those people mesh with you and your personality is difficult to find.
That is true. Frank, I'm not going to you. I'm just mentioning your name. Frank, you spoke of how well Joe recognizes and puts together unique talent sets of people.
Except on this show.
Joe, the question to you directly is, how realistic is it to find really good creative people that have these multiple skills and attributes combined in a healthy package? That they're not fighting each other or fighting you.
By the way, both of them were brilliant. Everything they both said was spot on. The longer you do it, the more you know how complicated it is, and the more you recognize the dangers of bringing people together and doing that. So I just wanted to punctuate what they've been saying is right. I mean, it's 100% right, except unfortunately or fortunately, I've been doing this for 20 years in so many different areas that I've learned to identify different creatives, and I kind of know when to pull them in and pull them out, and also know other people. I mean, they're going to have a shitty day. They're going to have, and it gets amped up when you're a creative person and you're being challenged on your creative vision, because we all believe our creative vision is spot on.
Right.
So when you're being challenged about that, I'll give you a quick example. My middle daughter, when she was about 12, 13, she had an uncanny ability to memorize dialogue in a script. You could give her a script and she would not only know her lines, she would know everybody else's lines in the entire thing. And she was amazing at it. So we brought her out to a couple of friends of mine that were big names. And they advised me not to let her go into the business. And they had a good reason, and I never thought about it. They said she's going to go out on a casting call, and they're going to say, nah, you're not good, your eyes are too close together, or your nose is too short, or you seem to be, and they would be pointing at her physical attributes, or they'd be pointing at her personality and identifying it as wrong. And if you're 13, that's a hard thing to, at any age, it's a difficult thing. And in our business, when you have an idea, or you have a vision, or you have a concept, and you bring it forward to people, and they tell you it's no good, or they tell you it's not, it's a very difficult thing to say, stand your ground, and say, no, I know it's right, so it's just not right for you people. Or when you bring your team together, and you're sitting around, and you're trying to as Glaz and Frank both said, you're trying to position everybody in the right place with the experiences you purposely got them for, and they start stepping over those boundaries. And when they start stepping over those boundaries, conflict. And that becomes, then it's unruly. Then it becomes a very difficult situation. And quite honestly, you have to just get them out of the picture. It's the only way to keep the team moving is if you get that problem out quickly.
I wonder if you stumbled on something about why these child actors often end up a little bit messed up.
Because they have short noses? I've never even heard that
and
term.
Close eyes.
What's a short nose?
Opposite.
Is
of
it
my nose,
short this
probably.
way or
That's what I'm
way?
thinking. Like,
Yeah.
is it not long?
Well, being Italian, it's hard for you to identify a short nose.
Yes, it is.
Well, I was always worried about my physical height, but I never thought about like having too short of a nose.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a big
it would
thing.
be like a little elf nose.
Yeah.
A little tiny Irish elf nose.
So
Okay.
elves are Irish. Is that what we're taking away from this?
I always know that to be a fact. All right, go ahead.
Amazing creative team. They're getting creative on us. Speaking of amazing creative teams, I'm going to go to Gloss and ask you, sir, do you have an optimal size for a creative team? 150?
I mean, as long as they got a
10?
short nose, they're usually good. I think the complexity of the project, kind of dictates, how big your team's going to be, I guess. And probably if it's a team of creatives, naturally everyone's going to bring their original ideas here to the table. So I think if you have too many for a smaller project, too many people doing too many things, it could get clouded and, you can kind of lose the overall vision and ideas can kind of just, disappear as you have meetings. So I think finding the right size it's really important, but also having the right, we keep coming back to the right people. If you have 3 people who can do 4 tasks at a time effectively and efficiently, then you'll be fine. If you don't and you need 5 or 6 people working on a project, you just need to delegate better. So I think the size of the project depends on, number one, the size of your team. Number one depends on the complexity and scope of the project. And then number 2 depends on the individual skills that you have on your team.
Joe, Gloss just touched on it a little bit. I want you to go deeper because you've dealt with this a lot longer over time. Are there benefits and risks of team size? Is there a correlation?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many areas that need to be identified and qualified as we're talking about this, because it's the scope of the project. And I've been listening and I keep hearing one word that we're missing. When we're talking about collaborative creatives, there has to be, and Glaz mentioned it, and I believe Frank did too, there has to be one vision. And with that one vision, there has to be one visionary. And that's the key. Everybody else satellite, everybody else pivots around that one visionary. If you're bringing collaborative creatives together and you're asking them all for vision, it's going to get muddied real fast. So you have to have a visionary. Then you go out, and let me use the band analogy. In bands, if you're a solo artist and you're in there, you hire sidemen, women, you hire background singers, and you give them, this is what you have to do. This is what you have to play. An orchestra. You sit down, you have 42 people, whatever it is, and everybody has the score in front of them. And the violinists are playing the violin parts. They're bringing their own interpretation of that part, but yet they're playing what they have to play. Those notes have to be played. It's their inflection. If I'm doing television or film and I bring Scott and Frank on board, I'm going to want their creativity, but I want their creativity in their path. Here's what we're trying to accomplish. I can tell you right now, one of the things Frank hates the most is producer talk. When you get into a pre-production meeting and producers start talking about, I'm trying to emote a feeling of happiness and I want your camera to enjoy the moment, and he will throw something at you. So you have to just go in and say, here's what we're doing, here's what we got, this is what I need you to do, you're on your own from that point. And then he starts selling shots. Scott would be doing this, everybody would be doing the same thing. So It's that visionary.
I'm laughing because selling shots. I just saw Frank with his cowboy hat, the bandolero leather bands, and the little shot glasses. Selling his shots, going around the production.
There it is. This goes back, what, 6 episodes when we talk about language?
Exactly.
The 3 of us didn't even hear that way.
Yeah, I totally. That's why I cut you off because I was laughing. I'm sorry.
I mean, but what Joe is saying about me, like that also, again, that comes from what we were talking about before of me having experience and understanding. Like, you don't need to tell me a lot about the entire overall vision of the project.
Right.
You can, I mean, I can pick things up pretty quickly, but that becomes because then I start, as people start talking and explaining what they're looking for, hopefully it's like very concise and like to the point. And then because I can pick up quickly and then my brain will automatically start saying, okay, this is like that thing that I did. And, you know, I don't even realize that I'm doing it, but I'm pulling from all these other experiences that I've had. And then I can pretty quickly understand exactly what is needed for that project or whatever we're doing.
So I'm going to stay with you because my next question was about the group sizes and when you thought the egos and the politics and all that other producer talk stuff kicked in. Does that happen more, Frank? Have you noticed it happening more in a larger group setting than a smaller group?
Definitely a larger group, and usually like when that stuff kind of happens, when I notice that there's not like a one clear person in charge. This actually just happened. I'm not going to name what I was working on, but it was a lot of people. I actually did, because I didn't know the crew. I was working with a different thing. I was like the jib op that came into a different I was an add-on to the crew basically. And it wasn't even so much the crew, it was actually the client. And they were changing like script things every 5 minutes. And it was like we were trying to get through just like a tech rehearsal and blocking shots on stage. And like every 2 seconds, they're changing stuff to the script and they're stopping down. But then there's like 4 or 5 people talking and like one's yelling from over here saying that word should be different. Then one person's yelling over there. And I'm just like, to me, that's when I realized quickly, I'm like, I kind of just like shut down and I'll sit and wait until everybody's done. And then like and then they get past all of that. And it took a long time. And it is very distracting as someone. I don't know if you guys can hear the fire truck going by right now. It's very loud.
Just heard it. Coffee break.
Yeah. But like to me, that's very distracting. I mean, you know, when I'm trying to figure out what I need to do for a show that's going on the air tomorrow, and like it's just chaos, and it seems like there's 5 people that are in charge, but really nobody's in charge, and there's not that one visionary that Joe was like talking about earlier. It's hard as someone that's supposed to be in a following role,
right,
to really understand what the hell I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And it, you know, there's like times, and this comes again from experience, there's times where I want to jump in because I could see where to make things easier and how to make this a lot simpler for people. And I'll start to do it. I'm like, it's not really my place. I'm just going to shut up and sit here and see what happens.
Joe, you're laughing. You want to wrap it up and then I'll move to the transition to the next part?
Yeah, the whole thing is hysterical to me because I mean, it's literally my entire life since I'm 12, and there's no easy, there's no everything we're all saying. It is the vaguest. It is the smoke and mirrors, and I just want to punctuate it with 90. Can't. That's a big if. 60% of the people in leadership in creative environments are idiots. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to do it. They have no experience in doing it. They don't know how to lead creative people, and they don't know how to put a project together. And they don't know how to anticipate and move forward. They just they just talk, and they say a lot of noise and they keep it all like this so that nobody can catch them being idiots. And nobody calls them on it. And that's, to me, is one of my frustrations, because it's a reflection on me at that level, because I get tossed into that when I'm in a new project with new people. They just think, oh, here comes another idiot who's going to tell us what to do. And I'm sorry.
It's the best.
I happen to know my gig.
No, it's the best. It's the best. I can see the laminate, the lammies. Another idiot.
Idiot 1, idiot 2.
All access.
All access. Idiot 1.
assistant idiot number one, full access. Yeah, no, that's the problem.
Oh, you guys are great. Okay, so here's the wrap up for this show. If
You better hurry up. You got no time.
I know, we got to go through quick. We're going to do a quick draft because I'm a big draft sports guy, and I love the draft. You know, I live for that. So, so if I said no matter what, there's only 3 people on your creative team, and you got to pick them. Let's go down right across the panel. Who's your number 1 draft, and a quick reason why. Number 2, number 3. So number 1, I'm going to go with Gloz because you're the big sports guy.
Look, I actually couldn't. I'm sorry.
I think Jersey City is burning down because there's been nothing but fire trucks going past for the past 10 minutes.
Sorry, Luke. Can you repeat the question, please?
Hopefully, it's not our building.
The question is first pick draft choice for Team Glozzy.
First pick has to like a actual person, or we mean okay. So let's say Johnny boy over here. He's my leader. Leader comes first. You need the visionary. You need the guy that knows what the end product has to be, and he delegates correctly. So leader is my number
Frank,
1.
First pick for Frank.
I mean, it's hard to like not have that as your first pick.
Okay,
I would, as a part of that, leader needs to be experience.
Joe, first pick
leader.
I would say a really good assistant who knows what the hell they're doing and can follow me and can stay in lockstep with me. Sort of if you guys remember MASH, sort of a radar character who's anticipating where I'm going, what I'm doing, and can. Frank has played this role, not that particular, but the next thing I'm about to say is you can also, when I walk out of the room, explain to the crew what I was saying and why I was angry and what I just said, and don't take it seriously. He'll be back in 10 minutes and he'll be fine.
Why I was angry? Just assuming that you were angry.
Joe just needs a number 2 to just let everybody know why he was pissed off or angry. That's it.
Yeah, that's what I do. I absolutely. So assistant, Lou, that would be mine.
Gotcha.
A high-grade assistant, a real deal assistant.
Gotcha.
And I think Joe inadvertently said that he was his first draft pick because he went to the second in command, meaning that he was already the leadership role.
Oh.
I don't think there's any choice.
All right.
Nobody else.
So we got leader, assistant. Round 2, Gloz, go. Second draft pick.
I guess kind of what Joe. I was gonna go with a planner. That's what I wrote down.
Planner.
Who's good at keeping the leader's vision in check and planning and organizing.
Frank.
I would say somebody with a high skill set for whatever that particular project is. You need somebody because you need the visionary leader, but then you need somebody that can actually skillfully get things done.
Makes sense. Joe, number 2.
Somebody who can complement the leadership. Somebody who can tell me, in mafia terms, it's a consigliere. It's somebody who can go, maybe that's not such a good idea. Maybe we can try it this way. But again, as Frank and Goz have said, they'd have to be experienced. Everything we're talking about is not a newbie position. These are people who know the industry and know how things work. So I would say the second in command would be somebody in that upper echelon who can complement and keep me in check.
Perfect. Gloz, rounding out the team. Third draft pick is?
Yeah. So I got my leader, I got my organizer, and I'm assuming here that the leader is a proactive leader, doing some, he's also the doer. So my third would be a creative marketer, somebody who is good at taking the vision and taking command and then marketing it and distributing it. So creative.
Frank?
That's my
somebody with a short nose.
Somebody with extra short. Yeah.
I thought that goes without saying.
Very short nose. No, I would actually say, and I would go the opposite way of age at this point, and just somebody new and hungry and kind of that can bring some different creative vision, of just thinking about things a little differently than the rest of the experienced crew.
Understood. And great one. Who would you round out your team with? And
somebody with superior technical chops.
Interesting. Interesting.
Because that would be the workarounds, that would be the problem solver, that would be the person when we were sitting in that production meeting and saying, shit, how are we going to do this? We only have this.
Yeah.
And that person needs to be able to go, no, wait, let's try this and do that. So that would be it. And again, obviously I'm just drawing on so many years of doing this. Yeah. I know where I hit snags.
Yeah. Right. And Lou, like not to say that like those attributes can be one person.
Yeah.
Or they can possess a few of those or all of them or none of them. You know what I mean? So it doesn't necessarily have to be like, that's that person, that's that person, that's that person. It's just, you need those attributes collectively within a team, which, it could be 3 people that each of them have 2 of those attributes. It could be, 6 of them that all have 1, or vice versa. However
it's funny. I know we all watch Silicon Valley. There's a scene in Silicon Valley where Gavin Belson's looking out of his office and he's like, it's so strange that every group has the same guy, just a different version of the guy. And then they mesh guys until they all find the right guy.
Yeah. He's like, it's like they trade until they all have the exact same group.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to thank you because it was very enlightening. I didn't expect some of the answers I got. And the big answer is that there's no one answer, right? It's a lot of gut, a lot of experience, and a lot of, I guess, self-leadership to put the team together that you need to get the job done. And I'm glad you guys are on my team and I'm on yours.
Yeah.
We don't have any short-nosed people, so we're going to have to recruit.
Absolutely not.
And with that,
because none of us are Irish.
Big Dave.
All right, Lou. I'll see you.
Have a good one, guys. I'll see you.